These two boxes I've put up here are the typical PDO periods that are identified in the different studies. The 50-year period is very easily seen, but the approximate 20-year period that has generally been talked about, it's not as well defined in my area. You may see some signals up here, some down here. Whether that is characteristically PDO, we're not sure. One of the tree ring reconstructions that I placed up front there in an earlier slide identified 23 years. A long core taken from my location has identified 20 years with an overlap there going back to 10,000 years BP. This may signal that the very strong approximate 20-year period is more of a recent phenomena, or it's not seen in my location or this core. So returning to my original analysis window, I introduced the topic of regime shift in PDO. I don't actually know if this is a regime shift, but there is something to suggest that in this period of time, there is a shift in the data. Now, from that point, the sediments in the core are actually well consolidated, so it's not a misleading geochemical analysis from a rough period within the core. It's actually something that's, well, I consider significant anyways, and my supervisors did seem to think so. So we, from here we appear, some new periods appear in here. Sorry, not that one. This one. Up at the higher ones. 87, 35, 30, 25, 16, and 12 years all appear strong and new after that shift. We haven't been able to identify what, in fact, those are. So, in conclusion, PDO signals wax and wane through time, but particular periods are more consistent, especially the 50-year period, which appears in most PDO frequency studies. So that there is a universally characteristic PDO period. Regime shifts might be linked to the appearance of new periodic signals, as I just showed you in the previous slide. And oceanic sediment cores can be a significant data source for PDO research, which has traditionally been brought back in time using tree rings. Now, in my location, we can have a complete 10,000-year-long PDO record up to present day once the precipitation data is analyzed, as my supervisor, Tara Ivanoshko, has a giant piston core that spans 600 BP to 10,000 BP, which overlaps with my freeze core, goes back approximately 1,000 years, and the precipitation record, which is present up until present day. And I just wanted to, there's a few acknowledgements on here, and a few people in this room actually had a lot of help for me. Jordan Dostane, Annie Seagram particularly. So thank you very much.
Okay, so we have time for questions. I tend to think about deeper in the core, the sediments being more compacted and the resolution being lower. Is that a fair assumption to make?
It is a fair assumption. However, I did analyze the differences in sort of the average spacing, and I looked at how that progressed through the core, and it wasn't a significant change. It moved from about 3.5 years, and later in the core, it was on the order of 5 years.
But you don't think that might have some contribution to these trends you see, and especially in the higher frequency period being better resolved, higher in the core?
I didn't consider that, actually. Something to look into.
Can you resolve the second mode in your study of the PDO?
Sorry?
Can you resolve the second mode in your study somehow? Or seen any evidence of it in your study of the core?
I'm not too sure. I only had up until last month to finish it, unfortunately.
Yeah, and really like your results, but there's one point that I want to criticize, because I'm seeing you're saying during PDO warm phase, you should there should be more precip in BC, and I'm seeing less precip in BC in the last 100 years.
Actually, the west coast of Vancouver Island is part of a small pocket that actually is an anomaly from the rest of the area. It's a wetter region.
Okay.
Do you see that shift around 450 BP? Do you see that in any other records, tree rings, or any of the other data?
Unfortunately, tree rings haven't been analyzed in the area yet. I'm wondering if it's possibly a regional effect. There are tree rings from the area unanalyzed currently at UBC. That was originally going to be part of my research, but I didn't have time.